Hello, my name is Abby Bangser, and I'm an engineer at Syntasso, where we're building Kratix, which helps you build your enterprise-ready internal developer platform by empowering everyone in your organization to contribute, share common components, and democratize your platform. The interesting thing about internal platforms is that it's more than just infrastructure as code, but often organizations have already invested deeply in code such as Terraform and need to start from there. This is true of how I built platforms in the past, and it's because Terraform modules provide a clear contract. Looking at this publicly available S3 bucket module, there's a clear set of inputs and outputs, and the platform team is able to speak to their users about what parameters are available and with what constraints. The problem is that while this is a contract and it does enable the business to input its own opinions, what we want to do is we want to turn this module with its clear contract into an API. Kratix promises are built to be APIs and are well suited to leveraging existing infrastructure as code, such as this Terraform. Using the Kratix CLI, you can init a new Terraform promise, which takes in any module that you have access to, whether it be public or private, and at any version. From there, it generates a promise which mimics the same inputs and outputs in the form of a Kubernetes custom resource, but as an API. The promise can then be applied to the cluster and viewed as a part of the platform offering. As you can see, the promise manages not only new user requests, but also general setup, which means that as the promise is getting installed, it will stay unavailable until that setup is complete. This can allow you to prepare your environment for those user requests. After a minute or so, you'll be able to see that that promise is now available to serve your application developer users who need S3 buckets without having to manage any HCL code. By looking at the catalog, I can see that the exact same contract has been codified into the Promise API by using kubectl explain, and that will show the specification with the fields like bucket policy principles, read tags, name, and all the other inputs that we can see back on the module in the documentation on GitHub. We're using the same exact contract, but we're just separating it to be an API, which also will give you full control over your interfaces. If you're interested in something like a Backstage portal, Syntasso Kratix Enterprise actually configures and manages your platform APIs in Backstage automatically without you having to write any JavaScript or TypeScript. It takes the Promise API and creates it as a component in Backstage, as well as a template allowing users to request new versions through the UI. Yes, there are other Terraform plugins in Backstage, but those are just working with HCL code. This is, remember, speaking to your API, allowing the backend to have full control over your business flow, not just to set variables within the HCL code, but also to do things like add manual approvals, security scanning, and collaboration with other tools outside of Terraform, all in the same request. In this case, the workflow ran quite quickly because this initial promise mimics that simple HCL code experience. But you can make sure you can add anything else you need over time. And Kratix has been configured with this initial promise to store the HCL code in Git, which can then rejoin your current workflow. In our case, the Terraform plan and apply steps are codified in GitHub Actions, which you can see has been triggered recently. So to wrap up, the Kratix CLI allows platform and operational engineers to seamlessly take what they already have invested in the way of infrastructure as code, and transition that into a true platform where they have control over the management of the business processes, the upgrades and updates to their code over time without affecting their users, and in general, create an internal platform that truly supports their unique organization. If you'd like to find out more, come find us at syntasso.io or check out the quick start at docs.kratix.io. Hope to see you soon.